Hello, and welcome to Setting the Standard, the podcast about wireless radio standards creation from the Wireless Innovation Forum. Want to know the latest about the CBRS band, the SCA, or any other advanced radio technologies hot topics? You're in the right place. I'm your host and communications director of the forum, Stephanie Hamill. In this episode, we're talking with Forum CEO Lee Pucker about all things WInnForum in 2022.
Hi, Lee. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So I brought you here today so we can talk about last year. So where do you want to start? What did the forum do in 2022?
So why don't we start with the new strategic plan? So the board of directors worked on developing over the year a new strategic plan. There's a lot of details on that. People can read about it online, but two things that are become immediately noticeable is we renamed a couple of committees. So the big change there is that the former Spectrum Sharing Committee is now the CBRS Committee, and that really reflects the fact that that committee has been focused almost exclusively on CBRS, the CBRS band, over the past, I guess, 5 or 6 years. So that's all they've been focused on. All the standards in that committee are related to CBRS. And so the board decided to just, go ahead and call it what it is, which is the CBRS committee. That said, there are a lot of other things related to spectrum sharing that need to be addressed. And so through the strategic plan, what the board did is make sure that all of those things are addressed in what was formerly the Advanced Technologies Committee and now is the Wireless Innovation Committee. And this committee is focused on advancing new technologies and incubating new technologies supporting software-defined radio and spectrum sharing moving forward. It's pretty similar to what their charter was previously, so it's just really a rebranding and re-energizing of the group.
Yeah, and you can catch that new org chart on our website too, and I'll put the link in the show notes below.
Okay.
Okay, so where next? 6 gigahertz?
Sure. So activities last year start with the 6 gigahertz committee. It was by far our most active committee last year. There were over 10,000 person hours devoted to online meetings related to that from our members, developing reports, recommendations, and specifications. The committee has really broad stakeholder participation. We have the incumbents participating. We have equipment manufacturers who want to develop equipment for the band participating. We have operators participating. We have AFC system providers participating. Really a broad spectrum of the overall ecosystem is participating in that committee. The group developed a lot of work products last year. The biggest one by far is they finalized the baseline requirements document for AFC systems. That's TS 1014, and submitted that to the FCC for review. They've developed supplemental databases supporting that specification to improve protection of incumbents. They developed protocol stacks supporting non-Wi-Fi air interfaces operating in the band. They've done a lot of work in tested certification, including doing traceability from test vectors developed by the Wi-Fi Alliance back to TS 1014 to make sure every single requirement had a something that was being tested against it. Developed a test harness that can be used for testing AFC systems, and made that available publicly in GitHub. So just a lot of work that was done in the 6 gigahertz committee.
Absolutely, and I'll include in the show notes also links to those work products, so they'll be easy for everybody to find.
Okay.
Okay, up next, CBRS.
So with CBRS, CBRS has obviously been operational for a couple of years now. And so really the focus there has been taking what's been learned from operations and using it to improve and update the standards. So there were some updates made to the Release 1 standards, specifically to support some needs of priority access license holders in the band, and that was moved through, balloted, and approved. And then there's been some continuing development on adding new features and new capabilities to enable things that they found they need while in operation. And that's all happening under our release too. If you look at the numbers currently in production, there's about 280,000 CBSDs that have been deployed. And those have been deployed through 5,000 certified professional installers that have been certified through the WInnForum's program to allow that ecosystem to get underway. So CBRS is up and running, and we're continuing to improve it to meet our members' needs.
Yeah, and also wanted to point out to people that we do have an infographic on the CBRS page that we update quarterly. So I'll put the link in that to that below as well. Okay, next up, software-defined systems.
Sure. So the Software Defined Systems Committee completed two efforts that had been going on for quite a while. They updated their transceiver facility, which defines the ability for an RF front end to communicate with the software-defined radio backend in a standardized way. And they also completed a time service facility in 2022, and that was balloted, approved, and published. That allows, again, a common timing service to be used in software-defined radios. The cool thing about those facilities is that there was a lot of international participation in the development of those standards, with folks participating from heavily from not just the United States, but also from Germany, France, Spain, Canada. I can probably go on for a while. There's a lot of participation from all over the world in creating those standards. The other thing the group was heavily involved in is providing support to the Open Group's SOSA effort. And SOSA stands for, oh, I never remember what SOSA stands for. What does SOSA stand for, Stephanie?
Sensor Open Systems
Architecture. Sensor Open Systems Architecture. And the whole goal there is that Sensor Open Systems Architecture is a fairly large effort within the US, and it has participation from US representatives only to develop that architecture. However, there's a lot of thought about taking some of the WInnForum products that have been developed, like the transceiver facility and the timing service, as well as things like the SCA, the software communications architecture, and providing a baseline for those to be included in SOSA. So we've got a signed liaison agreement with SOSA that we're using to facilitate communications there. We have representatives from SOSA that sit on our SDS Committee advisory board, and we're using that as a basis for us to help them to make use of our specifications in the best way possible.
Absolutely. It's really an exciting development, I think, this year. Okay, and then how about the Wireless Innovation Committee, formerly the Advanced Technologies Committee?
So the Wireless Innovation Committee has three ongoing efforts. The first one is the PASS project, which is really looking at how they can make use of technologies, database technologies like have been used in CBRS and like have been used in the 6 gigahertz band to protect sensor systems. Passive sensors don't transmit, so you don't know when they're on and off. So how can you use the kind of technology, database technologies that have been developed for these other bands to more broadly protect passive sensors? That effort is being headed up by Kevin
Gifford.
Gifford, thank you.
Boulder.
Of University of Colorado Boulder, and he's been leading that group, and they're actually going to be trying some of the things out that they developed last year at the Hat Creek Observatory coming this March. The second group in the Wireless Innovation Committee is the mid-band sharing work group. That group is looking at bands other than CBRS and 6 gigahertz and seeing where the WInnForum can help advance things going on in those bands. They've been looking at the 3100 to 3550 band. They've been looking at 7 gigahertz, 12 gigahertz, basically all the different bands that are considering the use of spectrum sharing technologies, and seeing how those technologies, how things that have already been developed can be applied in those new bands. Mm-hmm. And then the final group is a joint effort we're doing with ETSI, the European Telecommunication Standards Institute. That effort is basically looking at application of spectrum sharing technologies across various bands again, and but that's being done jointly with participation with ETSI to look at what areas of standardization might take place moving forward. Mm-hmm. That effort's being headed up by Prakash Marut, who's our Chief Regulatory Officer and works for Shure. And their document actually just entered, their initial report just entered final ballot.
Nice. Okay, and then next we had a bunch of events.
Yeah, so post-COVID, or semi-post-COVID, we began doing face-to-face events again last year. The 6 gigahertz and spectrum sharing committees met in Reston, Virginia, a meeting hosted by Google, and they met for 3 days and got a lot of work done there. And then our software-defined systems committee met in Bonn, Germany. That meeting was hosted by Fraunhofer and was included a tactical communication systems workshop. And you can find details about that workshop on our website. We also initiated something new last year, which was Tech Talks. These are talks on really future technologies. They're driven by the forum's elected Chief Technology Officer, Andy Clegg, who works for Google. And it's really inviting in people to talk about things that are kind of out in the future. And again, you can find the recordings for those Tech Talks are available online, and you can download them there. And then finally, we had our annual online summit that was held at the beginning of December. We had almost 300 participants again in that event moving forward, covering basically everything that, all aspects of what the Wireless Innovation Forum has been involved in. The different bands that we've been looking at, future roadmap, where spectrum use and software-defined radio are going to be moving forward in the future, and looking at some near-term things that perhaps the WInnForum or other organizations should be looking at addressing. So that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Okay, well, that sounds like a jam-packed year. I think in 2023, we can probably look forward to kind of more of the same, more events and more work products, and all of which you can all be kept up to date on if you join our mail list, which you can do at our website. Well, thank you so much, Lee, for your time and for all that information. And I look forward to talking to you again at the end of this year about what we did in 2023.
Great. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Have a good day.